Welcome to Voodoo Whiskey Gaming, and this is my late review of the Sexy Brutale. I played it on the PS4, it's also available on the Xbox One. So in Sexy Brutale, you play as Lafcadio Boone, and I guess you're a priest. You're wearing kind of priestly robes, and you do a little priest thing at times, and he is at this wild and crazy party, or this guy generally throws a wild and crazy party, not your character, but the house you are at. And people are getting murdered there, and it's basically your job to use a pocket watch that can control time to prevent these people from getting murdered. It's like Groundhog's Day, but with murder. And I gotta say about this story, it's a really slow burn story. It is kind of interesting, but it's very slow burn. It's a very long time before you have any idea what's actually going on in the story. You get these small hints that aren't even really hints, and they don't actually explain anything that's going on in the story. You don't find out anything until the very end. As for the audio, I really enjoyed that in this game. I love the music. It has this kind of 1920s speakeasy vibe, or at least that's what I would call it, because, I don't know, it's just interesting. It really works with the game. That may be a weird descriptor, but that's just the vibe I got while playing it. There's no real voiceover work to address because, well, it's all text. It's all text. The only actual voices I heard were sung in some of the songs, and I enjoyed it. Like I said, I liked the music. The other sound effects that go along with the game, I think work excellently, and they fit with what is happening when it's happening. As for like the gameplay mechanics, like I said, there is an ability to rewind time, but it is to the start of the day every time. And the day is actually incredibly short. It's supposed to be from like 12 to 12, but you go through it very quickly. That having been said, the core idea is that it's a puzzle game, and I've gotta say, I found the puzzles very easy. I may have had to put a few tries in, but it was more exploration than actually solving the puzzle itself. You had to find items in order to solve some of these puzzles, and that took more time than actually solving the puzzle. Once you had the items, you were like, oh shit, this is what I do, bum, done. And it was just a little bit too easy. I would have preferred it had it been like, oh, you found these items, now how do you use them? But I never ran into that. For me personally, it was finding who I needed to rescue next rather than solving the puzzle to save them. Finding them was much more difficult than actually the puzzle itself. And you get all sorts of different abilities each time you save someone, and you have to use them, and it's a little too easy to figure out what to use, where to use it. I will say at least there's a bunch of like hidden items, there's a deck of cards you need to find, there's the invitations to the party you need to find. Things like that, but those things don't extend the game. And the reality of it is, once you figure out where the people are, you tend to burn through it. And there are admittedly times where it feels like hurry up and wait, and that can be a little obnoxious. But overall, it's a pretty short game, and once you get the mechanics down, it feels much shorter. Next up are the controls. Like I said, a lot of exploration. And it's got it's a 3D world, but it's not in the standard sense. You move around it on like a board. And the controls for moving around work very well. It's the controls for like opening doors, which is very important because you can't fight anything, which is fine in this game because it's not really high stakes. But when you do get spotted by an enemy, you have to flee and run through a door. And it should just be one button press, and it's meant to be one button press, yet I found myself tapping the buttons because, well, he wouldn't always go through the door like I wanted him to. Not just when I was being chased, but any time pretty much. You might see it in the gameplay, but there will be like a little green ring around the door where you're supposed to be able to just hit X and he'll go through, and he won't necessarily do it, so you have to tap it a few times and then he'll finally go through. Obviously not huge or game-breaking in a game like this, but it is obnoxious that the controls don't work slightly better than they should, or, well, just straight up better than they should. I mean, better than they do. There we go. That's the right word. Lastly, the graphics. It's not a graphics-intense game because, well, it has a very unique kind of cartoony art style, and I really enjoy the art style in this game. I actually really enjoy the art style in this game. It's one of my favorite things about this game. It's very colorful, it's very unique. I really enjoy the way this game looks. But that shouldn't be one of my favorite things about a game. To wrap this up, like I said, the audio and the graphics are like my favorite things about this game. While the story was pretty interesting, the gameplay itself was not as difficult as it should have been, and the controls should have been better. And while the story is fairly interesting, it's not like truly engaging, or at least I didn't feel that way. So I gotta say, you're free to skip this game. If there was a way to rent it, I would recommend renting it. But actually full on purchasing it, no, I can't get behind that. Gotta admit, I'm disappointed saying that I can't recommend this because when I saw the previews and whatnot, and I've seen some gameplay, I thought it looked really interesting. I thought it was going to be a really awesome game, and then it just turned out to be too simple. Okay, so in the comments below, why don't you let me know if there's a game that you thought was going to be excellent and then you were disappointed because it was just too simple. And as always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button. And if you like what I'm doing in general, share, subscribe. Have a good one.